All right, welcome everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today. We're just going to run through a few introductory slides, and then I'm going to hand over to Murat, our speaker this morning. I'm going to hand over to our presenter this morning, Murat, who is from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, but currently joining us from Turkey this morning. The stage is yours when you're ready.
Thank you, Tara. Now I'm trying to find my presentation. Hello, everyone. I'm Murat Ardalan, and I'm a marine and polar biogeochemist and working in Norwegian University of Science and Technology. But today, I'm mainly going to talk about Sailing for Science, which is our initiative. Long ago, we started to organize this thing as an complementary way to do marine science. I will explain soon how we think and what is our aim and how we are working, and kind of small story about Sailing for Science and our approach. I hope I will not bother you, but this is basically not scientific presentation. But if you have any question related to what I'm going to tell you, feel free to ask any question. I will try to answer with my best. Okay. And first of all, I have to say that thank you for invitation also. Now we are reaching South Africa from Norway, although through Turkey. Today I'm going to briefly touch what is the goal of the Sailing for Science and team and our project and our future plan, etc. And before going into Sailing for Science, I need to introduce our group, Marine Chemistry and Biogeochemistry group in NTNU. We are pretty active in different seas and different topics, most of them related to climate change. We are working carbon pump to trace element and ocean acidification, and also including e-waste and plastic. And we are not only working marine domain, we had a tiny project also in freshwater Lake Mjøsa recently. And as you see, all this marked area, our group active in different seas. As Rudyard Kipling put it in a artistic way, we are pretty active 7 seas of the world, and we are really proud of, because that makes us really international. Our group, one of the international group, and very high turnover for master student and PhD student all over the world. And this is Sailing for Science webpage. If you want to reach us, this is the address. You can just try to reach us from this address. And as you see, we are not only working on marine domain, we are interested in any aquatic environment, and rivers and lakes also in our target, while we are trying to do some kind of bottom-up type of research. As you see here, the main goal of the Sailing for Science, I have to remove this part. I think you can follow the bottom of the presentation. This is bottom-up system. Why we are using this concept? Because we know that we have, traditional marine science as a pretty top-down design. Experienced scientists, established scientists always design the research cruises and project, and then all the young scientists will be part of it. And all over the world, we roughly had 300, maybe a little bit more than 300 active research vessels. They are researching all, all the different aspects of the marine science. And we know that ocean is vast, it's very large, and this 300 is very little number. That's why we think that sailboat capacity might be an excellent complementary way to do some additional marine science. That's why we initiate this Sailing for Science. We had different target. One target is building a kind of mother boat and make a model for Sailing for Science, but communicate with sailor who we know that most of the sailors, they love ocean and they want to do something very easy task. They can happily contribute to collect data and knowledge. Of course, we aware that we need to have a very solid filter. You know, that data quality, it's very important. You cannot take all the data which was produced by amateur, but if you give enough education and enough instrument, and then you will get really a lot of nice reliable data from them. In any way, second goal of Sailing for Science is the empowering student, young researcher. Most of the time when we are talking about top-down research initiative, student and young researcher, they are not designing the strategy. On the other hand, Sailing for Science gave them possibility to design from scratch all the research strategy and plan and perform this research. And it should be simple, because we had aimed to start simple and proceed into the complex, and start for just simple observation like A's to brains, and start from citizens, students, sailors, and push this information to academia, policymaker, and public. That's the way we are working. And we also realized that in different parts of the world, when we were doing research, we noticed that a lot of country which has coastal lines, and they don't have any infrastructure to do simple marine research. And when we realize this, we think that it might be Sailing for Science may fill this gap. That's why it's our target to focus mainly understudied zone of the world, understudied regions. And we are specifically trying to invite the young researcher student from those countries to establish experience and to give them kind of taste of doing marine research. And finally, of course, usual citizen or ocean stewardship, people who had potential to move towards ocean stewardship, we also had activity to increase raising awareness and to increase ocean literacy among general public through different activities and some joint coastal sailing cruises. Why we use we are linking, therefore we are, it is a kind of paraphrasing of Descartes' famous cogito ergo sum, because he think that mind and existence should have a connection through thinking. That's why this is famous quotation from Descartes, I think, therefore I am. But we think that now in 21st century, linking different thing, I will explain soon what we are thinking when we are saying we are linking, therefore we are. We think that Sailing for Science type of platform is excellent for connectiveness, create connectiveness, especially between unconnected things, okay? And this is our boarding, Sailing for Science boarding members. It's a pretty diverse, both gender and profession and age. and we are always happy to get more people everywhere in the world. You know, there is no restriction. It's just try to contact with us and be a member of our team. About linking or connectivity, it is not only connecting different regions or different people. Of course, we have to connect, for example, science to art, science, I mean, traditional, conventional science with traditions, and different people, different profession, different discipline, different sector should be linked, and also different topics, different drivers and stressor. For example, I know that this initiative which you are active, you have a focus for marine plastic issue. But we know that we are saying that, you know, plastic or other waste problem in the marine system is not affecting our ecosystem under isolation. There are other problems together, they are acting. That's why we need, we are pretty active for multi-stressor perspective, and in multi-stressor perspective or multi-driver perspective, connectivity is essential. Connectivity between spatially unconnected issue. We have right now as a project, 6 years, we are going to work in Tanzania and Ghana, and we are trying to do this, you know, build a capacity specifically for that aim, you know, connecting marine pollution to climate change, in studying marine pollution in climate change context, because climate change is changing temperature, changing pH, changing different things, currents, etc. And this pollution is affecting under this context. We cannot just study pollution as it is, as like isolated problem. And of course, connectivity between regions, nation, and ecosystem is essential. That's the reason when we are opening all the database, we notice that a lot of part of this, a lot of region in this world has very little data. And we are talking about global problem, how we can establish a proper knowledge base if we had not enough data from specific region. That's the also connectivity, different region essential, or different ecosystem. And you know this expression, you know, we have known unknowns, unknown knowns, unknown unknowns. This is ex-Secretary of Defense of United States, Donald Rumsfeld, make this expression famous, but the expression belonged to two scientists, it's Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham. And why I'm talking about this, you know, known unknowns, it's you know, we know what we don't know. This is easy to structure. And unknown unknowns, nobody knows what we don't know. This is big challenge. But unknown knowns is our target right now with Sailing for Science, because this is connectivity may solve this problem very easily. Because if we don't know something, someone else, somewhere else, they probably know already this unknown for us. And if we connect this to two different region or two different group, then it will be easy to achieve proper, reliable knowledge. That's the philosophy, part of the philosophy of Sailing for Science. And inevitably, we are very multidisciplinary and pushing ourselves to interdisciplinary and even transdisciplinary, because when we are producing some knowledge or data, it should be used in different sector and different discipline. That's the target for achieving transdisciplinarity. And from the at very simple level of transdisciplinarity, we are trying to establish, because it is when things became complex, transdisciplinarity may not be so easy. We know that. We are also doing science for you know, conventional way. We realize that transdisciplinarity is really painful when you are in the complex situation. It is better to go bottom up and simplify way. and build this transdisciplinarity from scratch. That's the Sailing for Science is excellent platform for this thing. We have a very colorful group, as you see this picture, different young people from different part of the world and different region. We have different activities. Now I'm going to tell you some of our activities. The first one is in agency. We try to build some experience for young students towards marine research, also ocean literacy, awareness, and ocean stewardship for public. And we choose this area, which is Dodakanes Island. This is between Greece and Turkey. 12 island systems belong to Greece. This area has been chosen because it is heavily under impact of tourism. Plus, it is very, heavy maritime traffic is going on here. And two stressors we try to address. This is Dodakanes Island. You can see all the start, and all the island system belong to Greece, but part of the coastal line is also we studied. It's in Turkey. This is good international attempt. We had 9 nationalities, 11 scientists, young scientists, and we had 2 sailboats while we did this research. And we focus on microplastic and phytoplankton and zooplankton, trace metal, and reactive oxygen species, because it was one of the impact coming from tourism. I will explain soon. And trace metal, I don't want to dwell on it because this is all the heavy metal contamination, etc. It's part of this trace metal study. We use proper clean sampling technique and clean sampling manipulation, the boat, which was perfectly okay, because usually conventional research vessel, they are metal. Trace metal study in metal boat is very high risk. It has very high risk for contamination. On the other hand, in sailboat, mostly it is polymer, and it is much less risk for surface water contamination. That's the sailboat is really good to do this type of study. This electron microscopy picture has been taken from that cruise. It was diatom from the study zone. And we also, I think I showed microplastic before. Yeah, here. It's we had the system to collect all the microplastic in this region. We are now working on the data, and soon we are going to publish this study. Yeah, and this is reactive oxygen species. You may think that why we are studying this. This is a very interesting thing. Most of the tourists in this region, of course, this is important to use UV blocker, sun blocker cream, and they had roughly 3 or 4 different type of sunblock cream, and tourists heavily using it. And one of them has the titanium dioxide, and when this cream will react with the organic matter in the surface sea and plus with light, it is produce hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is one of the reactive oxygen species, is very effective oxidant, and it is harmful for microbial ecosystem. What we did, we test without and with this sun blocker, and we show that when you are using sun blocker, hydrogen peroxide production is, this is without sun blocker, blue color, and orange color is when you use sun blocker, hydrogen peroxide production is increasing dramatically. And dilution, of course, taking it back to the normal level. But if you make incubation, that means while dilution is dilute hydrogen peroxide, but this reaction is not stopping. When you remove dilution effect, you can see that orange color is increasing with time. This reaction is going on. That means a lot of tourists, without knowing, may create a lot of high oxidative stress for microbial ecosystem. This is Swedish cruise, which is our main boat, Fair, and board member Martin Hazeloff, Professor Martin Hazeloff, and his group. They are doing also sailing for science research in Swedish and Norwegian coast. This is a picture from one of the cruise, and this is Fair, which is really good for scientific activity. It is 20-meter large boat, sailboat. 8 people can easily stay in the boat during the cruise. And Fair is a really experienced boat and experienced team. And they had also a nice wet lab and instrument, which is possible to do a lot of basic science. You can see here, for example, we have different atmospheric lab and wet lab and different sensor, which is possible to measure pH, salinity, temperature, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and pH. And we have also CTD board here. And the best of everything, this Fair is using renewable energy now. It's not just based on diesel. When you have possibility, you can convert energy use in renewable energy. And another boat, which is much smaller than Fair, small rug, which is 34 feet, and it is fully renewable, driven by fully renewable energy, sun, wind, and water. That's it. And young people, they enjoy a lot when they are joining this, small cruises in near coast area. And we are trying to, right now we are planning much larger project to include this 2 boat in different regions, of course. And one of the disadvantage for small boat, of course, you cannot have enough capacity to stay on the boat, but this can be done. I mean, daily cruise can be easily done with this boat, and you don't need to stay on the boat during this sailing for science cruises. We are approaching end of the project, presentation. We are very proud. We got endorsement from United Nations Ocean Decade Program, and we had really good support from NTN, Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and University of Gothenburg. And we are member of different group, as you see here, and different people also very supportive. And we are expecting also from you to join us. That's the contact address. But if you visit Sailing for Science web page, you can find more contact person. Yes, just welcome. And if you have any question, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Murat. That was very, very interesting. And I completely agree with your approach in terms of the connectedness of oceans and water bodies, and the multidisciplinary approach that's needed for solutions. I was wondering if you could perhaps expand a little bit on some of the projects that you're doing. I know you briefly mentioned some of the activities, but I'm sure we'll have quite a few people who are interested and wondering how they can sail around the Mediterranean. So I was wondering if you could maybe expand a little bit on some of the research. I know you mentioned a few different projects in the earlier slides.
Tara, right now, exactly these days, we are trying to reorganize our web page. Today I was communicating with Professor Martin in Gothenburg, and Björn. He's a sailor for this small boat. We are writing our plan for next step, and we are going to put it in web page soon. It is pretty long because we are planning different legs of different parts of the world. even including Arctic, Franz Joseph Island. We almost going to do this, but because of Russian-Ukrainian war, we stopped because there was a Russian also involvement in this cruise, and we couldn't proceed. Then we are now postpone a little bit this Arctic cruise, and we are focusing different part of the world, including rivers also, large rivers like Danube. Or I'm right now organizing Euphrates and Tigris. It is Mesopotamian river going into the Basra or Persian Gulf. We have different plan, but I cannot explain right now. But soon we are going to put it all these small legs. Anybody who interested in any part of this cruises can write to us, because we are going to choose different, specifically people coming from the understudied region, even if we are not studying that region in that research cruise, but they will get experience, and then next step we might go there. And in September we have two different activity. One is in Ghana coastal line, and we are going to study e-waste and plastic in the context of climate change, trying to build a capacity there. And we are going to probably September, maybe next year also, Tanzania, Zanzibar, Pemba Island, another sailing for science cruise. But we are going to announce this. Anybody who, if we had a capacity to invite people, we would prefer to choose different from different countries, not from Norway only. Yeah, that's the plan.
I understand. And it sounds incredibly interesting, the work that you're doing in different regions. I see we do have a question in the chat box that says, do you have any results from the research that was unexpected? Any unknowns?
Yeah, that's I hope we can also push ourselves to unknowns, but this is basically a mental process. We have to first realize what we don't know, which we don't know yet. There was a question, or not question, a comment. We found also sun cream is really interesting result. French group already published a paper on that. We were a little bit late, but it doesn't matter, because this is most important thing, to show people, even if you think that you are very concerned about ecosystem and you are concerned about your body health, but that action might be harmful for ecosystem. It is good to know, at least, and probably to change sun cream from not using titanium dioxide type, but maybe zinc oxide is. We didn't test zinc oxide. We are going to test this soon. It was funny experience, by the way, because all the participants, they jump into the sea, Mediterranean Sea. It was really nice color, turquoise color. They enjoy this experiment. They were part of the experiment. Our tube from our instrument, it's a via chemoluminescence instrument. A tube is going down to the sea where people swimming, and there was no hydrogen peroxide signal. When they come back and use the sun cream and jump in again, immediately we got the peak, hydrogen peroxide peak. It was very nice to observe this thing also. Of course, sad for ecosystem, but the system was working. I mean, experimental design was working, and students also enjoy to see, you are seeing immediately the effect of human.
Certainly, and it sounds like the equipment and everything on the boats is well designed with the floating labs that you've got there. Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned zinc oxide, but you haven't tested for that one yet. in the next round of boat trips, I imagine. So your work that's upcoming in Ghana and Tanzania, will that you mentioned that will sort of focus on e-waste and plastic in the climate change context. Will that also be with an ocean focus, or will that be a mix of rivers and other pathways, or predominantly a sailing expedition?
you know, it is human mind separating ocean from rivers, because this is the earth system. Of course, rivers is running into the ocean, and we always, if there is enough capacity and budget, we always work this. We cannot separate, and we are going to work, for example, estuary and river. I think Volta River, we are going to start to test all this plastic and e-waste through Volta River, and also coastal, near coastal area. We are not separating fresh water from, they are coming and mixing together. I mean, this is, in Tanzania and Ghana, we will focus on especially mangrove ecosystem, how mangrove ecosystem is reacting for climate change and waste pressure, you know. But Ghana is very unique. I think you probably know better than me. One of the terrible e-waste collection area was close to the Accra, although they are removing now, or maybe they remove, but it was already, you know, impact is already there. You know, when you get this sediment sample, you will find a lot of e-waste signature there. And now plastic is coming and becoming big issue, because as far as we are collaborating an NGO from United States, they are already working on, you know, collection of the textile all over the world coming into the Ghana, and they pile up, and when rain season comes, it wash all this stuff into the coastal water. You can see picture. It's thing we have to do. This is our how you call it, duty. Not working too much in Norway, in Europe, but focusing more understudied region.
Certainly, whether it's e-waste or the shipment of secondhand clothes, it's incredible the amounts of things that are sent to various African countries for an end of life solution. It's very interesting to hear the kind of work that you'll be doing. I know some of our researchers at SST were part of a workshop in Kenya looking at different ways of monitoring litter in different environments, including the mangroves there. So it'd be very interesting to hear the research that you conduct there about how the mangroves are coping with climate change and the sort of associated strains that faces on the ecosystem. Sorry, go ahead.
No. It's just I just agree with you. I mean, whatever you are saying, just go on.
Okay. I was just going to say that there doesn't seem to be any other questions yet at this time, but for those who perhaps watch the recording later, would you have any advice to people who are interested in joining? I know you've mentioned the websites and how it will soon be updated with all the various different projects that will be taking place. But for those who might join, perhaps sort of who are based in South Africa, how would they go about joining, and what kind of advice would you offer to them?
My advice is very simple. Since we are re-establishing our webpage, it's not ready yet. If they follow our webpage soon, it will be more information. We are trying to also give some information, because Erasmus Plus may give a lot of possibility for young students. They can join different activity. They can join our activity or other activities also. And we will also announce a possibility if we need some, for example, specific from people from specific region, we will announce in our webpage. But this is not ready yet. We are working on it. But my email address is there, and in this presentation they can ask any question. You know, we are already communicating with a lot of young people from different country through email. Email is still okay. I mean, me and other people can answer this question and try to establish network. Yeah, this is without any hesitation. They have to write to us. We love to make a, you know, connectivity is not just rhetoric for us. We need to build a network, and this is very important for connectivity.
Certainly. And just in terms of the scientists who joined you on board, were they from a variety of different disciplines, or were they sort of postgraduate students? Just so that people have a sense of the possibilities, perhaps.
Yeah, this is good. You remind me, because we have social scientists, marine chemists, marine biologists, ecologists, all kind of different, young and old researchers. We had neither gender nor age discrimination, anybody, although we are trying to empower young people because they need empowerment. But I mean, we don't have any discrimination for age. Anybody mentally young, biologically old, no problem. No problem. We are ready to absorb everybody.
Certainly.
And different, yeah. And you don't need to scientists, because this is citizen science activity. If we have 3 levels of citizen, we are classifying, we need to classify the people who knows a lot, we can put it to level 3 a bit. We have a criteria, this is not the class structure, but when we are going to give them task, we need to classify them, and they can move, of course, up and down depending on their interest. Yeah, that's anybody, literally anybody can contact with us. We just need enthusiasm and wish to save ocean or rivers or water.
Okay, that's very, very encouraging. I hope I imagine you'll have quite a bit of interest, certainly. So yeah, I don't see any other questions in the Q&A box in the chat, but it's been fascinating, and I for one am very interested.
Thank you, Tara. Welcome.
All right. So I see it's slightly before 12. But I think we can close off here for the morning. So thank you for those joining. I think there are a number of groups joining from single computers. But so thank you to those, and on behalf of SST, thank you so much, Murat. It was very interesting to hear about and very interesting to hear about the project and all the possibilities that are coming up in the future. I know us as the African Marine Waste Network will be very, very interested about your work in Ghana and Tanzania, as well as the Mediterranean. I think you've brought up a lot of good topics that people often perhaps aren't as aware of, that the impacts of sunblock and things like that, as opposed to all the other impacts of tourism on the oceans. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, and your busy traveling schedule. It was wonderful to hear about the project.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. And we have another final webinar in our series next week at the same time. Details for that can be found on the SST events page for the registration link. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you again, Murat.
Bye-bye.
Bye.